Physical media.
Physical media.
Physical media.
Physical media.
Physical media.
Welcome back, everybody. 5:25. So after the holidays, one major retailer plans to do away with DVDs and Blu-ray discs. Are you ready for this? Best Buy says it will halt sales of physical movie
Warner
media.
Brothers Discovery will be delisting or deleting the entire Adult Swim games catalog by May, and the future of those games is really not clear at all.
From CDs to DVDs to games to books, digital distribution has steadily eroded physical sales.
There is an absolute need for physical media. Streaming services or paid services, even if you buy it or download it, you don't own it.
If you buy a 4K UHD, you buy a Blu-ray, it's on your shelf, it's yours. No company, is going to break into your house, take it from you and repossess it. It's yours and you own it. That's never really the case with any form of digital distribution. You're relying on the continued health of the supplier, the company who's supplying it, what have you.
The first thing that comes to mind is physical ownership. I know that there's been a lot of nonsense going around recently, especially with certain bigger companies like Ubisoft coming out and saying, hey, get used to not owning your games even if you own them physically. However, I think the more we fight against it, the more that we're gonna see them be like, just kind of have to deal with it.
We're owning less of the media that you keep for the sake of convenience. This isn't a new idea. It's being widely observed in the age of streaming and digitalization, everything, movies, TV, music. Our reliance on digital media could displace the benefits of owning all this physical stuff that we used to have.
Yeah, just physically owning it, being able to play it whenever you want, your internet's down, you're still able to play it. They decide to take the servers down, you're still able to play it. That's the biggest thing. And that's not only for video games, that's for anything else.
Being able to hold it in your hand and see the artwork and the posters and have the names, it's a real thing.
I had the opportunity when we were thinking about reissuing the films for the 20th anniversary of Star Wars, of fixing them up, and I said, well, this is a great chance for me to experiment with a new technology and see if I can fix a lot of things that I was really frustrated with the first time around with Star Wars that I couldn't complete properly.
When the idea of the special editions came up, and George talked about the various things that they wanted to do, I was worried that digital enhancement would stand out too much, and in Star Wars especially, I feel like most of the digital enhancements that were done that added things, that weren't just cleaning up matte lines and taking dirt out, are intrusive, and it would have been better without them. I don't like most of the enhancements. I think that they're a mistake, really.
For those of us that grew up on the original versions, the special editions really aren't the official versions to us. And as fans, we should be able to go back and watch the versions of these films that we want, whether that's the original or the special editions. The fact that we don't even have a choice is, I think, what upsets people the most.
And saving old physical copies of movies and shows allows you to keep unchanged versions of that media. So
It was changed on all digital platforms. So if you bought it on iTunes, they've changed it. They've changed the release, which is ridiculous that they can even do that, especially if you've bought this digital copy of this film from years beforehand.
Sure, it may be small stuff now, but who knows where they're going to draw that line.
I think that the problem is probably more fundamental than that a film is a product of its time and conditions. All of the conditions that we had in 1977, the constraints of money, the constraints of time, and everything else, created that original film.
A film, a game, a show, it's a culmination of multiple artists coming together to create something new.
Well, it's a collaboration.
Making a film is such a collaborative process.
It's impossible to talk about how much is me and how much is them or how much is anything, because it is a collaborative process.
It was just like I was looking around at this and I was like, this is the greatest kind of artistic collaboration on earth, filmmaking. You know, the combination of all of these mediums under one vision.
What we're witnessing is the sanctity of art being undone.
I'm not a big fan of changing films after they're released. It's okay if films don't have everything that you wanted to put in them.
Physical media safeguards not just films, but the integrity of the art and the voices behind it.
The decline of DVDs and the rise of streaming has reshaped the film industry, limiting the kinds of projects creatives can set out to make.
The DVD was a huge part of our business, of our revenue stream, and technology has just made that obsolete. And so the movies that we used to make, you could afford to not make all of your money when it played in the theater, because you knew you had the DVD coming behind the release, and 6 months later you'd get a whole nother chunk. It would be like reopening the movie almost. And when that went away, that changed the type of movies that we could make.
A lot of economic decisions around home video have always been based on the need to show short-term growth rather than the long-term health of the business. And that's kind of got our industry into the pickle that it's been in the summer.
I did this movie Behind the Candelabra, and I talked to a studio executive who explains it was a $25 million movie. I would have to put that much into print and advertising, right, to market it, but we call P&A, so I'd have to put that in P&A. So now I'm in $50 million. I have to split everything I get with the exhibitor, right, the people who own the movie theaters. So I would have to make $100 million before I got into profit. The idea of making $100 million on a story about like this love affair between these two people, yeah, I love everyone in the movie, but that's suddenly a massive gamble in a way that it wasn't in the 1990s when they were making all those kind of movies, the kind of movies that I loved.
The impact of DVDs goes beyond just funding films. It's about preserving them. Unlike streaming, DVDs deliver movies in the highest quality, ensuring that the artistry and vision behind every frame is experienced as intended by the creators.
Similarly, Blu-rays and 4K Ultra HD discs provide uncompressed video and audio, ensuring the highest possible quality and fidelity to the creator's vision.
I think the home video versions of my films, the definitive versions, are the Blu-ray and the 4K versions, because there's much less compression. There's very specific authoring. We control the color of the picture, the brightness, all these things. When you stream a film, it's like broadcasting a film. We don't have much control over how it goes out.
The wonderful thing about 4K technology is it gets closer to the resolution that we shot the films at. Photochemically finished films on 35mm have at least 6K resolutions. IMAX films upwards of 18K. And so as home video formats keep evolving, 4K, particularly 4K with HDR, it allows us to give somebody in the home an experience that's much, much closer to what it was like to see the original film print as projected on film. And I think that's a very exciting prospect.
Physical media isn't just about nostalgia, it's about honoring the craft. From supporting the industry to delivering the highest quality experience. DVDs remind us that preserving art means preserving its intent, its vision, and its value.
I think the general public is still pretty non-knowledgeable about it. I think more and more as times go on, people are kind of waking up to it.
I think that the slow death of physical media is a terrible thing for consumers. I think it's a terrible thing for filmmakers who want their films to have a life beyond whatever their initial release is. And I think that all of us should be doing everything that we can to keep it going.
While the future may be increasingly digital, the enduring appeal of physical media reminds us that sometimes the best experiences are those we can hold in our hands, cherish, and revisit time and time again.
It's the experience, it's the ritual of looking at the sleeve, getting the album up, putting it on, listening to 5 tracks, getting up, turning it over. And it sounds so different, I have to say.
They also ensure that the history of the medium is preserved, as digital storefronts and servers may not always be available.
You can change whatever you want, but there's still going to be people that want to own a VHS. There's still a person that wants to own a Laserdisc or a record or a CD.
If this is a topic that matters to you, make your voice be heard. So if something bothers you and they're doing something to bother you, stop purchasing their stuff. They will hear it.
We also create opportunities for shared experiences, as we can pass our cherished vinyl records, movie collections, or classic video games to friends or future generations, fostering a sense of continuity and connection. By embracing physical media, we not only ensure our favorite content remains accessible and in the highest quality, but also support the artists and creators behind these works.
And this is why physical media matters to me.